As the clock strikes 7, the vibes alive. Inner circles here where voices thrive. Turn on your screens, let the magic unfold. Listening and healing as stories are told. Come on, come on, this is your time. No topics too tough, just heed the calls. From mental health woes to justice we seek. Together we rise for the strong and the meek. A safe space for all, let's lift every voice. Inner Circle podcast where hearts unite. Sharing our truths, bringing hope to the light. Community strong, we're never alone. Together as one, we've created a home. With laughter and love, we break down the walls. No topics too tough, just heed the calls. From mental health woes to justice we seek. Together we rise for the strong and the meek. A safe space for all, let's lift every voice. So join the conversation, let's set the tone. In a Circle podcast where love is well known.
Good evening, everyone. Today is Thursday, March 20th. I mean, the month is running so fast. Tonight we have a very, very special topic, immigrant remittances, meaning like sending money back home. For many immigrants, there's like a religion. Every pay period. I mean, it's like they be sending. It's like back in the day, you used to have Western Union or MoneyGram, but these days I hear that you have SendWaves, and things like that. So you have SendWaves and other means. But tonight we're going to be deep diving into sending money back home. For many immigrants here, that is something they do, send money back home to loved ones, to family, to friends, as a means of support and things like that. And many immigrants, and many family back home rely on that. So for some of them, that's the main source of, income or livelihood. So tonight we'll be deep diving into that, the pros and cons. Is that a good thing? Is it creating dependency syndrome? So I'm your host, Abe Kamara, and it is the Inner Cycle podcast where we tackle different issues, we discuss different issues. Have two great panelists with me tonight, and we'll be deep diving into this. Before I get to my panelists, this show is becoming your community show. We beg you, it's becoming a trend. So please follow us on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Apple Podcast. Follow us on Spotify or anywhere you get your podcast. So please, 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 let's make this big, man. Because for us, we focus on the diaspora. We focus on the immigrant community in America, right? Because this is where we live. This is where we have our family. So that's our focus. Anything else, anywhere else, we don't really, do that. So with that, we'll go around to introduce our panelists quick. The good Mel.
Good evening, everybody. This is Melvin Lanozia here. As AB has just introduced the topic, we're excited to just talk about it, what we know, what we have seen, and our experiences individually, things we kind of notice and the impact of it. We're here to just shed light on it. Hopefully, you guys can get involved and let's have conversation. Thank you.
Miss B.
Good evening, everyone. It's your girl, Miss B. I'm excited for another night. Let's do this, guys.
Okay. Well, thank you so much to my two great panelists, man. I will start right off the back, right? I'm just going to throw this out there. I think the whole sending money back home thing, personally, I think it's a bad idea, but that's where I'm coming from, right? We are creating like a dependency syndrome. But Mel, I will start with you. It's like, what does sending money back home means to you?
Uh, Brother, we have family members that are heavily reliant on the funds that are sent back home. I'll be on a genuine level. Some of them actually are trying their best to find something to do, but the opportunities back home aren't there. They're not providing the opportunity to them as people. The job creation, scarcity of funds, just a lot of other challenges that put them in that position to look up to family members. But
If you
in a
say family
globalized
members, let me just hold you there right before you continue. If you say family members, what kind of family members are we talking about? Your the extended family members or your immediate family, your kids? And I mean, what kind of family are we talking about? The African
well,
family, the African
all
family,
of
where in
that.
like extended family.
Yes,
Okay.
Africans, we are known for that. We tend to look back to cousins. I mean, extended family, immediate family,
Mm-hmm.
and all of those are considered family members. Now, in
Mm-hmm.
a globalized world characterized by the movement of people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Access borders, the role of immigrants, remittance has emerged basically as a powerful catalyst. Um, for economic and social uplifting, right? As we talk about this today, I
Okay.
just want to throw light on that in our home country, right?
Mm-hmm.
Remittance, the funds sent back home by immigrants, represent more than just financial transaction. If
Mm-hmm.
um, they embody the sacrifice and aspiration of individuals striving to support their families. Now, we know some of us left from Liberia after all of the war
Mm-hmm.
that went on, World War I, World War II,
Mm-hmm.
and people trying to get back in the mode of things, in the mode of just
Sure.
stability. The country
Okay.
as a whole, it's not stable.
Okay.
Job creation, a lot of people just tend to gravitate more to government job, right?
Okay.
You
Okay.
see young people lingering, going to a tire shop, having conversations. So if you have a family member who lives overseas, that person working, and you look up to them for your support. Uh,
Okay.
you know, people really looking up to those things, but some Liberians back home tend to abuse that. I would say that not everybody, but on a general level, a lot of Africans back home look up to their family members overseas to support them.
Okay. Well, folks, tonight, Miss Jerry, thanks for joining us. We are discussing we met immigrant remittance Sunday morning back home. You can contribute to the conversation. If you're one of those who ever pay pure, right? Every 2 weeks you using Sendways or MoneyGram or all of the different means of sending money back home, you can contribute to the conversation by calling our number 817-600-1525. Or you can put a comment in the chat. Is it a good thing or is it a bad thing? For me, you know where I stand. I think it's a bad thing. It's creating a dependency syndrome. But Miss B, are you one of those sending money back home? And what does sending money back home means to you, right? Is it a means of financial support or does it have cultural significance?
I would say my older sister, she is the one that kind of leads that. She keeps up she keeps up with the birthdays and the holidays, and then she reaches out to me saying, "Oh, we're due to send this for so and so reason,
Mm,
or for so or so things."
mm,
I don't prioritize it. I'll be honest, I don't prioritize it
mm,
as much as she does, probably
mhm,
because I was way young when I was in Liberia. So I was in Liberia from, baby to 5 months. I mean, to
mm,
5 years old.
mm,
So, and then going back over the years, over time, I started to build some of that relationship, but I don't have the relationships that she has and my other older siblings have with
mm,
people on the ground. But I do my part, but I don't feel like overwhelmed by it. I don't feel compelled to do it.
mhm,
I don't have that kind of connection, but I do sympathize with folks that do feel compelled, who do have that connection, who
mhm,
are being looked up to as a source of income, for folks that take care of themselves on the ground. I wish we could just put it on our taxes and file those folks as dependents because, I mean, people like MoneyGram, I didn't even realize it was during the TPS time when we
mhm.
were trying to find a pathway. We had a campaign pathway to citizenship
Yeah,
for Liberians, the Life
yeah.
Act. And I realized that MoneyGram was literally in DC advocating for Liberians to remain in this country because they document the millions, the hundreds and millions of dollars that Liberians send from
Mhm,
America, specifically Minnesota, to
okay.
Liberia. Yeah,
Mhm,
so you have companies who are benefiting from our remittance, who
mhm,
are literally keeping track and documents of how much money we're sending to the continent in
mhm.
a way so that they felt there was going to be an economic hardship or impact to them if
Sure.
these people were to be deported back to Liberia.
Okay.
So we should leverage
Okay.
that. But go ahead.
Okay. Miss Jerry, are you in the camp of male who feels obligated to send money back home to his family, to his siblings? or are you in a camp of Miss B, who she doesn't feel obligated. If you do it, she do it. If she don't, she don't. What camp are you in? And what does it mean to you? Does it hold any kind of a cultural significance? Go ahead. I mean, is that we understand, right? Is that you gotta do double duties, right? Is that that's what we call work-life balance. Psycho Park, yeah, we respect those things, right? That's the model what we live in. So that's work-life balance. So yeah, go ahead.
I feel like I don't feel obligated to send money to anybody. I
Uh,
just do it because I want to do it out of the goodness of my heart, but I don't see it as an obligation.
okay. Why is it you don't see it as an obligation? Don't you have? I mean, do you have siblings?
I have a lot
Aunties,
of
uncles.
families. I
Okay.
have a lot of family back home. As someone said earlier, I think it was you. Was is the whole thing where it comes to be like a dependency syndrome,
Yeah.
where people are so entitled.
Mm.
I would say. And
Yeah.
sometimes people tend to be very ungrateful. They don't know how hard people work over here for their money. And they
Mm-hmm,
just
mm-hmm,
expect you to do things for them just because you're in the US. I
yeah.
understand that people face hardship and the country is hard and the economy is messed up. However, it's the government responsibility to take care of their citizens. It's not
Mm-hmm.
somebody working their 9 to 5, struggling over here and sending money and can barely even save for themselves over here.
Okay. Mel, right? And I will come back to you. I think you are the lone wolf here tonight because you are the lone, you are the lone wolf here. Miss D, Miss B is on the fence, so she might be there with you a little bit, right? It's like so, but I see you being the lone wolf here tonight. But here's the thing, right? Miss Jerry brought a great point about the whole entitlement thing. Don't you think by you constantly, right? Like every 2 weeks or however often you do it, isn't that creating like an entitlement? And where do you draw the line? When do you say enough is enough, or do you just do it perpetually?
Yeah, Eric, before I answer your question, let me touch on a few things. Miss B
Hmm.
came here when she was young. I
Yeah.
want to
Okay.
believe Jerry came here at a younger age too. So they don't really have that, like a lot of interaction with people back home. Like some of us that went to high school there, started some
Hmm.
type of college level of education there, and no
Hmm.
family members, and
Hmm.
kind of live in that world and understood how things are.
Hmm.
So they have every reason to think in that manner and to be like they are not obligated. I'm not
Hmm.
saying I'm obligated to family members. That's not the point I'm trying to make, right? I'm
Hmm.
obligated to my family over here, but I put myself in a position when I was in Liberia, right? Knowing that, being going to school was tough, right? You can't even come up with your school fees. It's not like you decide not to pay. It's just not there. You just don't know
Hmm.
where to go.
Hmm.
So when you live that life,
Hmm.
you grow up as an adult and you see things the way they were, and you come here, when someone tells you a story about what's going on, you
Hmm.
tend to sympathize and you tend to look at it as, especially somebody who's reasonable, like living in those kind of countries and seeing how things are. You tend
Okay.
to be like, oh, I think this is actually truth. However, you have to be very straightforward in doing it.
Hmm.
Don't allow your sympathy kind of affect you as an individual, right?
Yeah.
So the way I deal with it personally, I like people that I interact with. I'm not going to
Yeah.
mention my family.
No. No.
First,
No.
I put them in a position like, you know what? In order for you not to call me every time if I have it, let's think about what we can do to help you. Let's think about
Yes.
what can you do as an individual so you are not always calling me to when you
Mhm.
need transportation or you need food. All right. What is there that you can do? Liberia is green. Like
And
I
what's
say, I
the
live in Liberia. I live
So
in
let me
Liberia.
just
I
hold you there.
did.
I mean, let me just hold you there. Then what's the outcome of that? I mean, is that if you try that approach, because that's the next phase I was going to go to, right? Where in like, if someone call you for help, are you the? I mean, the thought that come to mind, are you trying to give them a fish or trying to teach them how to fish? And then as they go, and how's that? I mean, I think that's the point you're trying to drive at. But how's the outcome of that? You say, how can I help? How can I help you help yourself? How's that working for you?
A lot of the time, it doesn't really, come out well. Um, there are few that will literally take that and run with it and do something good with it. I know few friends. I'm like I said, I'm not going to call name that started businesses that we talk about. They're doing good today. They travel to Nigeria, go buy their things and sell. And
Mm-hmm.
they don't even talk about, oh, send me money. They talk about, oh, Mel, you know, can you buy these things for me to send, right? Or so and so person buy these things send for me to sell. So they are actual people in Liberia
Mm-hmm.
that really want to improve their life. Like the point I was going to it,
Mm-hmm.
prior to you
Yeah.
asking that question,
Mm-hmm.
Liberia is green. What do I mean by that? There are a lot of business opportunities. You living here, you can really see a lot of things that we don't have over there. So if somebody call you, put them in a position like let's do this together, right? Let's start it, right? Do it in a way they can help themselves. And like I said, if people are actually in need over there. They are feel some of them now literally abuse the opportunity to be like, oh, I have my brother or I have my sister or I have my mom in America. Every time I call and they will send it. So yes, I would do whatever I can do and they will always do it. And that mindset is what we over here should try to discourage. If somebody is
Mm-hmm.
constantly asking you for something, put them
Mm-hmm.
in a position to be able to help themselves so that they cannot come back every time they are in need of something. Put them in a position to be able to, feast for themselves. Not you always giving it to them. Remember, over here you have your own responsibility.
Yeah.
You have things you have to take care of. So those things should be your number one priority. But
Okay.
again, God blessing you and you traveling over here and having a job and making money, it puts you in
Mm.
that position knowing how things are over there too. Sympathize with our brothers and sisters back home.
Okay. So Miss B, like, Mel said Liberia is green. I would say the whole of Africa, right? There's a lot of investment opportunity there. I can say it's green, right? I mean, it's one of the poorest continents, or one of the continents with a huge potential. There's still investment opportunity. So that, like, immigrants that are here, shouldn't they be looking at more of an investment opportunity, right? The point that Mel is driving at, or just this whole, I just sending money back home to feed people, right? It's like, shouldn't it be more? Shouldn't we look at it from the lens of investment? How can we empower them, or how can we as immigrants here empower folks back home, right, to uplift the continent? Is that mindset? How can we kind of have that mindset shift instead of just giving handouts all the time?
I think that change behavior, you change your mind and you change your behavior. So the mindset has not really changed, to be honest, right? Even
Mm-hmm.
having gone through a civil war, there's a few where the mindset has changed, and I say that because look at the leadership that we continue to you know allow to happen in Liberia, right? If you think about the resources we're sending, you can leverage your resources for power. Money
Mm-hmm.
can be leveraged for power. Ultimately, if you think about this country, right, where the people in power, they prioritize power. Even sometimes they don't need money to have power, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so as we are sending these resources to Liberia, right, and you're opening your businesses, you need a tax base. You need customers that can afford to purchase your product or your service.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And therefore, that infrastructure that allows you to enter the market at a good price, and to be in the market as a good price, is not really there. And if
Mm-hmm.
you are there doing that, that means you can pay people. Now you're thinking about how you're able to provide wages on a regular basis, because the cost of doing business is not so high in Liberia, according to the income there.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, it's the other way around. The income
Mm-hmm.
is low and the cost of business is still pretty high, even as an investor looking to do business in the country.
Mm-hmm.
It cost me a lot to do business in Liberia. I've taken a very high risk in the likelihood of a very minimum to none gain, right? And I say, as we are putting these remittance into the country, it is an investment. Whether you invested directly into the government, or you invested into the people. How are we being strategic? Like Mel, for instance, really brought a valid point. How are
Mm-hmm.
you being strategic to make sure that your investment will go far and wide, right? So instead
Mm-hmm.
of just having the conversation about what is the type of business, say, how do we address some of these infrastructure pieces? If we're all talking business infrastructure or government infrastructure pieces to our family, eventually that will start to influence what the infrastructure looks like in Liberia. For me personally, it's too much of a risk. Even investing in America is a high risk. So imagine when you have such unregulated systems like you have in Liberia, you're taking even more of a higher risk by investing
Hmm.
in there. People who build homes, I'm like, what is the return on your home? You know, where's the equity? Buying a house here in America and building a house here, I can value it, right? It can go to the
Hmm.
market, it can gain value. I'm gaining
Yeah.
equity over time. You
Hmm.
build a house in Liberia, okay, you spent $300,000. It's $300,000 you just spent. What is the return on that investment?
Hmm. Uh, Miss Jerry, don't you think the whole remittance thing, sending money back home, is just creating this like folks back home just have this just always in a survival mode, right? They just want to survive. It's like every 2 weeks or every month, no matter how often those that are doing it, right? It create a mindset down there. It's just that folks are just in a survival mode. Oh, you know what? If I get $100 this week or next week or this month, I'm going to maybe take it and maybe pay my kids tuition or do something else with it, and I'll wait for my brother Mel or my cousin Mel to send me another hundred at I mean the end of the month. Don't you think it's creating like a survival mode? Right? Folks are just surviving.
I don't think it's the remittance that's creating that. It's what the country is right now. It's the government that's creating that for its citizen. And people are just over here trying to help their families the best way they can. Because
So
when you go to Liberia, people are just like so in survival mode 24/7. That's how they live over there.
mm-hmm,
And then the little bit you send is like, okay, how can, for example, if you send somebody $100, how can I survive on this? How can I manage this to carry me to the end of the month? I already don't have anything. How can I use this $100 to help with food and help with transportation for my kids? So I would say just go down to the Liberian government not doing a good job. And as she said, the people we are electing, they are failing our citizens, they are failing our country. They are not doing like Liberia have a lot of resources
mm-hmm,
to be able to take care of its citizens, to take care of its people. But we keep re-electing corrupt leaders who only care about themselves, their families, and their girlfriends. And all of this money go right back in the pocket or come right back to the US because this is where they come and buy properties. This
mm,
is where they send their girlfriends. They send their girlfriends to Europe. They send them to Asia. They send them everywhere else. But then they don't have infrastructures or programs in place to help the citizens. So it go back to the Liberian government, and people come over here as a means to help their families back home. And
mm-hmm,
people are already struggling. So whatever you're sending, not even doing much. For example, he mentioned the business thing. I've
yeah,
helped a lot of people start businesses over there. A
yeah,
lot.
okay,
However, the businesses don't go anywhere because everyone is living from hand to mouth. Whatever that business makes, go right back in the pocket. That way they can grow, they can expand because there is nothing else bringing in income. So they have these businesses that just end up failing because there is nothing else to hold on to or to survive on. So
mm-hmm,
it's hard to even do business over there with families or friends because most of the times they don't even understand how business work.
okay,
They had this bank in Liberia called EcoBank
okay,
that was giving loans to small business owners. Even in America, most of these grants or different programs, if they're going to give you money, they have like different workshop and
yeah,
accelerated programs to
yeah,
teach you how to run business. They have these little things.
yeah,
And then you take up economy where people are very illiterate, they're not even educated. You give them money to start business without any proper education. Guess what happened? They couldn't pay the money back.
okay,
And a lot of
okay,
them had their lands and their home for collaterals, and that bank ended up taking a lot of people properties.
okay, okay.
So the problem is a lot more bigger than just sending money back home, I feel like.
Okay, okay, that's a fair point. That's a great point. But anyway, so folks, tonight we are discussing immigrant remittances, sending money back home. What's the impact? Is it creating a dependency syndrome? Is it creating a situation where folks are just in survival mode? Are we enabling here? We immigrants are we enabling bad behavior? Where in like every 2 weeks or every month or how often you do it, is it a good thing? You know where I stand. But you can contribute to the conversation by calling our number 817-600-1525 or putting a comment in the chat. Mel, um, Miss Jury brought a point about government. What role does government has to play in all of this, right? It's like the whole remittance thing. Do you think, especially, and then let's not just limit it to Liberia, right? I mean, African government as a whole, because the entire African continent, right? You have a lot of Nigerians here, you have a lot of Ghanaians here, you have a lot of Cameroonians here, right? I mean, yesterday one of our guests, right, was a Cameroonian. Right? It's like, you have a lot of immigrants here from different countries. What role like governments right in those countries have to play in also remittance thing wherein like Are they using it as a cash cow just to enrich themselves, as Miss Julia said, or can they do more to create better economy and better livelihood for their people?
Yeah, so governments in Africa, with all those African countries, have a lot to do with this in terms
Mm,
of making their people's lives better, right?
mm, mhm,
I think we elect leaders to put a country in a position, or countries in position, to kind of just leverage the resources, ensure the wealth is being distributed. And
mhm,
African governments, they lack those things. They tend to look at themselves, self-enrich themselves. I would say Africa is rich, in terms of all of the natural resources you talk about, but we
mm,
are poorly managed.
mm,
Now, does that have anything to do with its people? Absolutely not. Someone can come with their platform, right? For
mhm,
that want to become a president. They will
mhm,
explain all these good things and hype up their people. Even leaders that have been in Africa, live and did everything in Africa, and those that live outside of Africa, that have seen how countries or developed countries are operating, right?
mhm, mhm,
When these guys contest for positions and they are elected, they will give all these platforms. A lot of the African countries, there are a few of them that are doing good, but I'll say
mhm.
most of these African leaders, they are failing their people, right? They'll put
Yeah.
these platforms out there that look like they would do something good and people get interested in them and they elect them. But as soon as they are elected into office, their platform change. They tend
Okay.
to do things differently. So
Okay.
government has a lot to do with it. I know we mentioned peace here as we talk about remittance. The people that are actually struggling really don't have control over their leaders, right? Or on what the leaders do. Some of them make decisions on the basis of their platform. There are some
Sure. Sure.
Africans that can rationalize things, sit down and analyze. Okay, who do I vote for? Who do I
Okay.
elect based off for what they do? They ask the questions. But
Okay.
you have these people that will put their platforms out there with the campaigns, promises, and stuff like that. It'd be like, okay, this person have this. Let's try this person. And when they try this person, the person is even worse than the prior government
Okay.
they have. So
Okay.
our people really don't have control over their leaders.
Okay.
But again,
Sure.
another thing we need to look at, African as a whole, we tend to look up to government for everything. I think I think our people themselves should not just focus on government. I know government control a lot of other things, but look at the great USA we live in, my brother. People do businesses. They're not just looking at I need to have X amount of money to start business, right? You
Mm-hmm,
have
mm-hmm.
all that land in Liberia or in Africa that are just sitting there and nothing is being done.
Okay.
Everybody want to live in the urban area. They live in the interior, right? And these are causing problem, right? Wherein we are not making use of our resources we have. One of them is agriculture. We
Okay.
import almost everything we use. So these are things that are driving these things to happen, my brother. It's bigger
Okay.
than just our people. It's bigger than
Okay.
just the local people. The government has a lot to do with it. Electing people that actually
Sure.
mean well, that want to see their people lives change, and doing those right things will help, alleviate
Sure.
not all, but most of these things we are talking about here tonight.
Miss B, if our people are not taking advantage of the remittances, right, that we in the diaspora, we in America, Canada, wherever are sending back home, if the government is not putting in mechanism for those remittances to be managed, what can we do? What can immigrants here do? Right? Is that what is that because and for me, I would say maybe like I would go with I would say maybe go the Elon Musk route, do those right, stop that whole thing. So let's see what impact it might have, and things like that. Right? If the people are not managing it well, government is not intervening to do anything. What can immigrants here do, right? To say, hey man, it's like this, as you mentioned earlier, right? Western Union lobbying on behalf of Liberians to gain status because of the amount of money Liberians send home, right? I could say maybe they could do the same thing for Nigerians, for Ghanaians, because of the amount of money we send back home. So what can we do? What impact, what pressure can we put on government or even our own people back home? That man, hey, man, you need to change, or else, I mean, I'm gonna cut it off. We're gonna cut it off.
I mean, I know for a fact they're going to feel it now because we're feeling it here, right? And so
Mhm,
with things getting harder here, it will definitely impact the continent, right?
mhm,
And so those, hopefully that's some of the things where we're really starting to have a conversation and say, you know, everywhere except Liberia and Ethiopia has been colonized. And so therefore, America being hadn't been colonized, a lot of its infrastructure was influenced by the citizens, right, in which it was colonized by. And
mhm,
so I say that to say, as we are here living in the diaspora, we have a part to play to influence the infrastructure change that can happen in Liberia. It's like we'll leave, we come, and we learn different. And America's not perfect, but there's parts and parcels in which we like and appreciate, right, that we want to bring back to
mhm,
Liberia, right?
mhm,
And so
mhm,
as we are leveraging our ability to provide resources to the country, we need to be influential in how we are having those conversations.
mhm,
Government is planned through conversation and discussions. And there's still so many conversations that we Liberians just don't want to have. We talk about it on the show a lot. We don't
mhm,
want to have the critical, uncomfortable, conversations. And our inability to have those conversations here and kind of galvanize here, as we think about, back in the day when we tried to form OPAL to address dual citizenship in Liberia. If we
mhm,
don't know how to have those critical conversations here, how are we supposed to be able to have it in the country in Liberia? And that
mhm,
is ultimately what it is important.
mhm,
Money is not the only solution to infrastructure. Like I agree with Melvin. The government here is not the key ingredient to the success of the citizens of this country. The citizens are invested, and therefore the private sector, everybody's invested in the success of this country, and that's why this country has been able to thrive. So I think Liberian citizens need to be more invested in success and what does success look like, right, in their country in order for that to happen. If we all build homes and we're sending money to build homes, why are we leaving the roads undone? Why we are not being involved in the zoning practices, right? Why we are not looking into zoning codes? Why are we not looking into the roads? My mom, where she lived, 5 different times my mom tried to pave that road. What, her same neighbors will come and destroy it. Oh, it's going too far into my own property. It's doing this, it's doing that. Like over and over, she will go to the east, she will go to the west, she will go to the north, she will try to build a road, and spending her own money that they will all utilize to ride on. But at some point, somebody will feel, oh no, their road is on my property line. We should not have it. And so it's those some of those things that our remittance can really help to build
mhm.
this infrastructure. But that
Okay.
mindset and of how it should be utilized too is not fully there.
Yeah. Well, folks, tonight we are discussing immigrant remittances, sending money back home. That's something, right? If you are immigrant, I mean, some folks, there's a religion. Every 2 weeks they have to send that stuff back home, right? You hear stories how they are paying their entire generation school fees. They are feeding entire generation. Sometimes I wonder, I say, man, what time do you have to do all of that? I mean, what, what money do you have for yourself here? But that's the reality. You know, a lot of folks do that, right? As I said, it's a religion for some folks. So tonight, that's a discussion. You can contribute to the conversation by calling our number 817-600-1525. Miss Cherry, let me just take it to the angle, right? As a Miss B kind of try to bring about it, right? Is that instead of us just sending money individually, right? Like, I mean, the continent is challenged, right? A lot of challenges down there. Mel mentioned it, Miss B talk about it. But instead of just doing maybe individual stuff, why can't we maybe try to pull resources together and maybe that will have some impact? And say, you know what, instead of me sending my cousin or my sister or my brother every 2 weeks or whatever, maybe we can find like-minded people who all put something together and try to create an investment vehicle wherein like maybe we can create a business and try to employ folks, right? What's about that man? What can immigrants here do to really make sure their remittance or the money they are sending back home have a greater impact instead of just hand to mouth impact it's having right now? You're a businesswoman. What can immigrants here do to come together, right, to pull those resources for us to, I mean, for us to go further, right? Is that right now
Yeah.
that if you just sending it to your friend or your family, they're just gonna eat it and say, hey man, please send me more next month.
I feel like that's a good idea and it will help a lot with like job creation and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
However, it always comes down to Liberia not having people who are educated enough to even manage those things. So you put all of the investments there with friends. You have to come back here because that's where you live. So when you set up these businesses, who's going to manage it? Because as I said, people are not afraid of people money over. The corruption is so high. Like somebody would take your money and tell you cannot do nothing to them. There is nothing you can do about it. There is no accountability, and that's where I feel like people are afraid to invest back home. It's not that people don't want to invest. However, the whole thing with trust, who can I trust? Or who has like the experience or the knowledge or the education to run this business the way I would like them to.
Mm.
So you have to take all of that into consideration if that's the route people want to go, like to do the crowdfunding and put money together to start businesses back home.
Okay. So Mel, then if the folks on the ground are not trusted, they are not trustworthy. If the government cannot be trusted, they are not putting infrastructure in place, or they're not coming with innovative ideas for these remittances to go further. Don't you think then the folks that are here, should just stop sending money back home and they say, hey, that is not working. It is just creating a dependency syndrome. It is just leading to more problems. Maybe like, I mean, Miss Jerry said, right? Folks cannot be trusted with, you send your money back home for someone to do something for you, they're going to eat it. So instead of, man, why do you think immigrants that can just go the Doge route, stop that whole thing, and just live your life here instead of you sending money back home?
It's not easy to do. It's not
Why is
easy.
it not easy? You
I,
here
I will
now.
I
This is where
will
you live your life. This is where you have your
uh,
family. What's
yeah,
hard about it?
I will answer your question.
Okay, bro.
I just for just to get go, it's not easy to do.
Uh,
Before I give you a little bit of background, and let me give you stats, right? The
mm,
World Bank stats, right? The World Bank, estimate that remittance to Liberia. I would say Liberia because it's where I'm from, but other African countries tend to fall in that bracket, right? In recent years, approximately $200 million in recent years, right, according to World Health, have been sent to Liberia, and that is 20% of Liberia GDP. It's a lot, my brother. It's a lot, and
so
and and and
so if 20% of Liberian GDP is from the diaspora, is from outside of Liberia through remittances, how come that's not having any kind of an impact? Or how come like immigrants that are here, those are in the diaspora, say, look, man, if that is so huge, I think because here, look, like those that have money, right? Like say the lobbyists or those that can, put money into they have voices. So it means that if it is 20% of the GDP, it means that it means that diaspora Liberians have a voice.
I don't want to say it's not having impact. A lot of the infrastructure we see in Liberia now, people building homes, and you're seeing people extending their houses. We're living from the central Monrovia and building homes towards the airport. A lot of these homes you see that are being constructed, most of them are built by people in the diaspora. So it having somehow impact. However, the one you send to people individually for themselves, right? What do they do with it? They use it for their daily survival. They use it for their food. I would say it having impact. We just haven't seen it. My brother, there are people that share videos on YouTube about Liberians in the diaspora building homes, and these funds I just mentioned fall in that bracket. They got a bunch of Liberians here that are building in Liberia, building construction. Now, as a
That's
release,
a different topic. That's a whole different topic, and
Can
we'll
I
discuss
can I
that.
can I add to
I'm
that
I'm
question
still
you
in
asked?
route though.
Okay, yeah. Mel, finish your thought, and then Miss Jerry can come in. Finish your thought.
Okay. As it relates to the topic, right? As it relates to your question,
Hmm.
uh, I would say they're having impact somehow. Impact. Now, we just spoke of other people just not putting themselves in a position to doing something with these funds they are receiving from their family members over here. They make it seem like, okay, I'm getting this X amount of money every month, and it going to be coming. I will do whatever I want to do with it, right? So somebody spoke of the mindset. I don't know if it's Miss B or Jared. One of you guys kind of spoke of the mindset of our people. The mindset of our people. Once you put them in a position like you're taking care of them, they become entitled. Like this thing will happen every time. So therefore, I will do nothing about it. That's the negative piece of it. The other people are doing good with the funds that are being sent back home.
Okay. Miss Jerry, what do you want? I mean, what is it that you wanted to add?
So my recent visit back home opened my eye
Mhm,
to a lot of things. So I
mhm.
feel like the money we send back home is making impact, but not so much. It's just little because a lot of the businesses that are in Liberia right now, they're owned by foreigners. So we send this money, and our family people take this money and
Like
put
which
it back
foreigners?
into
Those, I mean, foreign. I want you to
like
clarify that foreigners. Those some
Lebanese,
other. Oh, okay, different foreigners. Okay.
Lebanese,
Okay.
the Indians, they own like the market in Liberia.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of our family members, if you send money to them, they go and buy from those people. Those
Mm-hmm.
people, they are now pouring back into our economy. They're taking
Mm-hmm.
the money and carrying it back to their country. So it's not helping. If we have
Mm-hmm.
more Liberians who own businesses, I feel like it will be a much bigger impact on the economy. But because a lot of the monies that we send back home is already being taken out of the country, so
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's not really helping because majority of the major businesses in Liberia, they are owned by foreigners, if I'm being honest with you. They are owned by the
Okay.
If
Lebanese, they are owned by the Fulanis, they are owned by the Indians, they are owned by the
Mm-hmm.
Mandingos.
Mm-hmm.
Liberians own businesses, but not at the level, at the scale at which these people own businesses in Liberia.
Okay.
So
let
it's not really
let me
helping.
let me
Well,
chime
before
in
you
here. Let me
before you
let me
come
chime.
in, no, no, before you come in quick, I just want to do a point of correction. Right? She mentioned Madingo. I think Madingo are one of the 16 tribes in Liberia, so they are Liberian citizens, right?
Most
Even
of
though they
them
are
are
in,
most of them come from Guinea and they go right back to Guinea.
that's fair. That's fair. Okay, Mel, okay, Mel, what is
Yeah,
it you want to say?
yeah. So if that's a key point you just raised over there. A lot of the business in Liberia are owned by foreigners. Now, why
Mm-hmm.
that is? Our government, Liberian government, they would tell you if a Liberian person start business, we don't want this person to kind of make more money than we do, and they make it harder. They make it harder for their own people over here. You send container to that free port of free, my brother, they will give you hard time as a Liberian. Now, so think about these challenges Liberians overseas have to go through, right? So these are things that are limiting a lot of us from investing in Liberia. The
So my point is,
government,
stop it. Stop sending money back home. If it's not having any impact, if it's not doing anything, if it's just creating a dependency syndrome, if it's just doing survival thing where folks are just surviving and enabling, as Miss Jerry said, I'm quoting her, right? These government officials are taking their girlfriends and flying with them all over to Dubai, wherever. Stop it. Stop. Let's just maybe what can we try it for like 1 year, right? No sending money back home. Let's see. Let's see what's that gonna do. How's that?
when I
It's
just
not,
tell you
it's not, it's easier
it's
for
not
you to
easy
say
something to
AV
do.
because
Yeah.
a lot of people have a lot of strong connections. So it's kind of like, in Africa, it's more like a cultural thing too. Like you have family, especially if you're the older child or maybe you're the under 1 year, you feel like you have to take care of your family. It's like emotional connection. You feel
Mhm,
connected to your family in that way. The fact that you're so far away from them,
mhm,
sending money back home is a way like you show support. Like I'm
okay.
here for you, even though I'm away from home, and even though it's not helping a lot, but at the same time, if we start sending money back to Liberia, the economy will collapse.
Okay.
People look
Well,
forward to that every
okay.
month. They look forward
Okay.
to their families being able to help them.
I'm gonna push out a little bit, but let's take some commenters' question. And Mel, I want you to take this first one, right? If we are frowning on aid, as I'm doing tonight, right? Frowning on sending money back home, which is a form of aid, should we be embarrassing other forms of aid that are being rendered to our people? That is for Sam Y. Do you
Frowning
understand what
on
he's trying
on
to say here?
aid back
Yeah.
home. Uh well, I mean, when you say frowning on aid that been,
So it's like, I'm coming from a point, and I think Miss Jerry is with me on this a little bit. You and Miss B almost in the same corner, but because she don't have a lot of connection to Liberia, so I think she's kind of a more on of our side. But I'm frowning on sending money back home, right? And so what Sam is saying, right? It, because we are doing that, should we also be? Oh, I think he corrected himself. Embracing other form of aid. If we are sending money back home, right? If we are frowning on that, should we be embracing other forms of aid to go to our people?
yes, we should. We should. If the aids going to our people helping in terms of creating jobs, right? Like the youth say now, we talk about that the government
Man,
put a
these things
hot.
do not create jobs, though. That's a mistake. The
They
remittance is
don't
not
they
creating
don't
jobs.
create jobs.
No,
Jerry
They
no,
don't
no,
said
no, no,
create jobs.
no.
all
When you
of
say
these,
other
all of these.
form of aids, when you say other form
But
of
even the
aids
other
being said,
form, even the other forms, we're not even creating jobs.
let me
That
And when
USAID thing you're talking about was a scam, so I'm glad they shut it down.
Abe, they shut it down, but you know how many Liberians were working with US? A
Okay.
bunch of them that they were getting paid. So I don't know what kind of fraud it was, right? Bunch of I don't know the detail into why it was shut down or what
Hmm.
makes it a fraud, but
Hmm.
they were creating jobs for a bunch of Liberians that are benefiting from it. Bunch of Liberians. I'm
Okay.
gonna say that here. So yes, I'm aligned with other form of aid going to Liberia, advocating for NGOs, organizations that will create jobs and create opportunity for our people.
Okay. Miss B, this one is for you. I don't know whether this can work in Liberia, right? But hey, so he's recommending job fair through the following, right? Technological knowledge, I mean simplification to the people, community based, you know, kind of. He has a couple of ideas. Can these even work in Liberia or anyway Africa? Can these ideas work in Liberia? You unmute. You unmute. You unmute. You unmute.
There's a way in which money must flow,
Hmm.
and the money is not flowing like that in the country.
Hmm.
And I when you talk about things like USA, I know Melvin, you on the outside looking in, and maybe the folks that on the ground may have been having those positions. You feel like it was purposeful, but when you talk to other leaders, other African leaders, they'll say USA was a problem. Rwanda said we no longer want to receive Salvation Army. The Salvation Army went to the World Court and decided they wanted to put sanctions on Rwanda because they were refusing for the Salvation Army to be able to do business there. And so at some point, the money that we sent to America, to Liberia, all of this stuff we're doing right now is just providing fish. None of it
Exactly.
is really causing people to learn how to fish.
That's
I
my
think that's the point that Abraham is getting at, right?
yes.
No
Yeah.
infrastructural change is happening.
Mm-hmm.
No laws are putting in to say you open your business, right? This is the process for opening your business. We don't want no government corruption. Don't tell me in order for me to open that business, I may pay government officials that will not trickle into the department that it needs to, right? If we have one strong department working in that country, it will
Mm-hmm.
influence and trickle out to to strengthen other departments. For
Mm-hmm.
instance, just the reality around paying taxes. We all know the importance of taxes in this country. Taxes is what the government collects to make sure that common area maintenance happens. Roads, our roads are gateways, right? Your waters are gateways, right? Shipping, importing and exporting happening because you have your gateways. People are able
Mm-hmm.
to bring stuff into the country, stuff are able to
Mm-hmm.
leave out of the country in a
Mm-hmm.
way that makes it economically viable. None of those things Liberia choose to do with the money that they get. And sometimes to be fair, Abraham, the root
Mm-hmm.
cause could be fear of, foreign and retaliation, because it's a real thing. Our African leaders, there's been a lot of assassination that has happened over the years. For every time a leader comes in and want to do something different, the outside world say, oh no, they're getting too powerful, they're getting too strong. And when you don't have your infrastructure together, it is so easy for you to be dismantled and put down. That's what happened with Liberia. You look back now, I hear from the elders say, you know what, Doe was doing a great thing with the country. 1980s, my aunts then would come here, they would use the Liberian dollar. It was equal 1-to-1 with the American dollar. And that's not long ago. That's all of us here lifetime. That's
Okay.
what I'm talking about happening. All of us here sitting on this platform lifetime.
Okay.
But yet still there were other powers that be, but it's not too long. We're not too far removed from that history, right? For it
Okay.
to happen again. And I don't see the willingness there. I mean, Jerry, you may want to dismiss it and give them excuses. Don't scapegoat with a lack of education, my dear. Again, Civil War and all these things we're not that far removed. It happened
Mm-hmm.
in our lifetime. Us who are sitting right here, this is not our parents' lifetime. It happened in our lifetime, and so it
Mm-hmm.
can still happen again.
Okay. I think what I'm advocating here for tonight, and I think I'm advocating for tonight. We should start remittances for like a year, and let's see what's that going to do. And things. That's what I'm advocating for tonight. Maybe it will force these folks as soon they cut off that USA ID aid, right? Some of them say, "Oh yeah, we have to look for mint," but there are still a lot of African governments are still paying themselves. It's like thousands of dollars a month, right? It's like they crying about USA ID, but but they're still living like, like feel too rich. But Mel, though, here's the thing that I want to bring in here, right? I know we talk about this remittance thing. Is it because of our cultural norm? You know, is it because of our cultural norm that because we are so connected, like Miss Jerry said before, right? We are so connected. We feel that obligation, that almost like it's like a guilt. If you don't do it, you'll feel that shame or that guilt. Is it the reason why we creating this kind of a we are enabling bad behavior because I mean you have folks that just send money
Bad
home
behavior, Ibrahim.
every month. Instead of Miss B, as you mentioned earlier, instead of just giving fish, instead of trying to teach these folks how to fish, we just giving them fish. And it's been going on since some of these countries was were founded. Like Liberia since 1847, folks been sending money back home. It's not changing nothing.
Yeah, it a cultural norm has a lot to do with it, right?
Uh,
We the family dynamic in Liberia or in Africa, the way it's structured. If a person is successful in a family, which is a bad thing, I'm not going to sit here and support that. If one person is successful in that family, whether being in Liberia, when you are in Africa, anywhere in Africa, or traveling overseas, right? That person becomes the breadwinner for the entire family, your brothers, your sisters, your cousins, your uncles, your aunties. Everybody will send their kids to you. Those that have kids, you will take care of them, right? You will send
mhm,
them to school and become their source of income, their breadwinner. And
mhm.
in turn, when that person loses their job or something happens, they have nothing, they fall back to zero.
Okay.
Which is why sometimes you see when people leave positions in Africa, right? They work with UN or they work with the government. When they leave position, they have nothing to fall back on. These are the things that are impacting our family dynamic. But how do we change that mindset is key. Here in America, the way you see a lot of family, they've been successful. They focus on their immediate family, my wife, my kids, and myself. That's it. Brother and sister, you have to figure it out yourself. Mom and dad, once that child reach certain age, 18, 19, they go to college or you send them out. They start doing their thing. But those are not able to happen in places like Liberia or other African countries
Why not?
because
Why not?
because the lack of job opportunities, right? Somebody will be 30 plus years old, they still live in mom and dad's house.
Okay.
Somebody will be almost 40 years old, they still live in mom and dad's house. It's not like some of them want to, but they don't have means to do these things. So this on the basis of the question you asked, that
Hmm.
family, that dynamic, that norm, a cultural norm that put us in that position. If one person kind of make it or successfully making that money, that person is bound to take care of their relative, distant relative, their brothers, their sister, plus their immediate family, their wives and their kids. So in terms is affecting us in a way, in a
Okay.
negative way, wherein we are not making progress and doing things that will make us to establish that financial foundation for our immediate family and be successful.
Yeah. Yeah, folks, we have a caller, so we'll give the caller the opportunity to maybe they have a comment and stuff. So just hold on. And ahead and your name and where you're calling from.
Good evening, folks. This is Sam here. I was in the comment section, but I thought I'd just come on and put some things forth. Well, good discussion tonight, right? So I'm really trying to understand uh, the fact that we are sending money home, right? Folks are sending money home to their individual families. Those folks are not complaining. Those folks find the need to do that because their families are in the country with less opportunities, and you are here with more opportunities, and you are able to do that. Look, the help that we gave is not just monetary, it's more cultural. As Africans, we are culturally in a place where we practice giving to people, helping each other, especially when they are not able to help themselves. This is a thing we do. Now, if you are saying that aids are going to Liberia to the government, and the government is mismanaging and misusing the money, cut those aids out. I'll agree with you. But if I'm sending money to my sister, my cousin, my brother, because I can, what have you to do with it? What problem do you have? That's what I'm trying to understand tonight.
Okay.
So if you're saying stop the aid, stop sending money back home, what is your position? What concerns you?
Okay, that's a fair point. Thank you.
I mean, where are we coming from tonight is what I want to understand.
Okay.
I was in the comment section. I'm a little hot about it, right? but let's talk about it more. What position do you? Where do you stand on that?
Okay.
Should we stop the aid? How will people survive?
Okay.
I'm still listening.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks for the call. Well, I will. I can take that, but first of all, right. Let me give Miss B the opportunity. Miss B, any comment there? What do you want to say about it?
So for me, my position is that you don't just take something away from people cold turkey, right? You have to wind people off of it. It's like when you know the baby has the pacifier, eventually you have to take them off the pacifier, right? And so even here, when
Mm-hmm.
people, it's a great debate, like, do we get rid of the welfare system or not? You know, some people have said,
Mm-hmm.
let's cancel it. People shouldn't be on it. But it's unfortunate when people have gotten used to something, you have to find a way to remove them from that. And it can't just
Mm-hmm.
happen overnight, right?
Okay.
Because
Okay.
ultimately, what we're supposed to be doing is supplementing people's income. That's
Okay.
what the remittance should be looking like, right? We should be supplementing to eventually that they no longer will need it. And I think that's where Abraham is coming from. To what extent do we stop the supplement, right? And you know, the caller said, well, what is that? How is that of any business of yours? It's because the reality is, as we talk about Black wealth here in America, your inability to be able to focus in one place and make stability in one place is impacting the overall wealth, right? And so at some point you have to say, we do it like when you say you want to save or you want to lose weight, you cut everything out and you say, I'm going to focus here and accomplish this here first. And then once it has grown, then I will be able to give resources somewhere else. And I think oftentimes you're finding our most lowest income people are sending money back home. You know, it's sad when an elderly 60-something-year-old woman who should be retired comes to my office living in senior housing, and she has to go back to working to Walmart overnight shift because, oh, what will she do? Her kids are relying on her 40-something-year-old children are relying on her, sending them that $500 and $800 every month. That needs to be addressed, right? That needs to be addressed to some extent. And
Mm-hmm.
we're investing in people and we're investing in that place. And so to some extent, that we have we should be able to stand on saying something, because we're giving, whether it's $5 or whatever, wherever I'm putting my money, I should be able to speak to what is going towards.
Yeah. And then yeah, I mean I'm glad like you ready sum up to the way I come from. But let me just add to that, right? That the caller is saying, and I mean what concerns me or what concerns us. To your point, right? Is like we just discussed the double life, right? It's like wherein folks are living here and living there, living here and living there. Right? It is. And for me, I think what we need to do, right? We complain in this country a lot. Oh, we are being marginalized. Oh, we are not having the opportunity. But at the same time, we are taking money and sending it somewhere that is not benefiting us. We are just creating, I can say, dependency syndrome. You know, folks are just in survival mode. Where is that we are not even teaching them how to fish. We're just giving them fish year round. You're sending your sister 200. What is, I mean, however long you have done that, what has that done for her? How has that changed her life? Right? Why can't we reimagine the whole remittance stuff? Right? If I'm going to help my sister, maybe I'm going to do it for 6 months and let her try to figure it out. As she said, it's like if she cannot, I mean, God bless most of us there will cross that ocean is for a reason. It's not to keep 2 feet in the door, 1 feet here, 1 feet there. Once you do that, we are losing focus. And in in these cases, right, that's what's happening. I know we need to help, but to what extent and for how long? Mel, for how long should we be helping? So Mel, okay, that's just I just want to throw that out there, right? To I mean to answer the caller
Yeah,
question, right? So yeah.
I will create a balance here. I see where
Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
where the both of you guys are coming from.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I, on the other hand, on the fence of it, you
Mhm.
know, these people really, a lot of them are genuine. Like I said, a lot of them really,
If we say it keeps saying
the-
genuine, genuine in what sense? Genuine to
I,
receive it year round, genuine to receive it for 20 years, genuine to receive it for 30 years. And how are they
no,
being genuine? And how are you making any kind of a difference?
let me just speak. Then you can ask the question when I'm done, sir.
Okay.
So when I say genuine, here's what I mean by that. A lot of them, they really, really, you know, will put themselves in a position to apply themselves, right? Let's say you send somebody $1,000 to do business, and that 1,000 bucks, they literally have to feed themselves out of that, pay their rent out of that, and do business with it, right? Now, now the problem we're seeing in Africa, especially in Liberia, um, people are not buying things just because the funds is not being evenly distributed. Now, these folks don't have control over that. The government does, right? Now, and sometimes they will start the business. You see them doing it, and at some point, I was like, I'm doing a business, but I have this thing not really going, right? It collapsed. That's where I'm coming from by saying they are genuine. They're doing all they can do to help themselves, but the opportunities are not there to make them be successful, to put them in a position to be successful. So, in terms, the fact that the lack of opportunities create these reliance on these remittances we send back home for our people. It might be years, how much
Mm,
money are
okay.
we able to send to them to be like, I'm sending you, you can send somebody $10,000 and $20,000 to start business, see how that go. You yourself here, you don't have that. The little you can say is $1,000, $2,000 for them to start business. How much can that make them to be successful in doing business, to have profit, and
Okay.
that, and remember, this is what they're living on. Some of them paying rent, some of them had to feed themselves, they had to send themselves to school, they had to take care of their family. They start a business, it will collapse by the end of the day, because that's where everything is coming from. So that's where I'm coming from when I say these people are genuine. However, there are some, right? In everything, there are good people, there are bad people. I
Hmm.
want to speak for the good people. And you, as a person who's in a position to help those people, your
Hmm.
family members, like the caller say, your sisters, your brothers,
Hmm.
your immediate family that really need these things, you
Hmm.
have to be able to assess the situation, ask those necessary questions. So you are
Hmm.
not setting that mindset to be like, oh, I sent this person this 1,000 bucks and nothing to do with it. They started a business and they're calling me back. So my brother, it's bigger than what we're talking about. It's just the remittance. The government as a whole has a lot to do with these things, creating the opportunities, setting a platform for its people so that they can be successful and not look up to these little funds we send to them for their daily survival. People
Okay.
actually look to these small funds we send them. So that's why I say I would start with a balance in the conversation. There are folks that just want to, oh, my brother is over there, Abe is over there, Abe, I need something like $100 for the next 2 weeks. You send it to them, they blow it off, go to nightclub and chill, right?
Mm,
Nothing to do about it. These are folks, I personally will be like, you know what? I'm not doing this with you anymore. But somebody
okay.
who started business and they actually did it for X amount of time, be like, my brother, this is not going. Yes, you can kind of tell, my brother. Like I said, for
Sure.
me, I live in
Okay.
Liberia. I
Okay.
understand how the business works in Liberia.
Okay. Miss Jerry, what's your reaction? I mean, to the caller, right? Are you one of those where, like he's saying, if someone is sending their family or their sister or brother or auntie money, right? That's nobody else's business. But I'm saying that's just, and he brought another comment here about welfare. To me, first of all, I'm against welfare. I ain't gonna be taking my money, right? Is that paying my taxes and somebody else is living off of it. So just to answer that, welfare for me, I'm against welfare, and that's the same kind of a welfare system we have right now with this whole remittance stuff. So I'm against that. But anyway, where do you stand with the color, with the what the caller say?
Well, from what I got from his question is like, it's my money.
Hmm.
Don't tell me how to spend it.
Yeah, yeah, basically, yeah, yeah,
What I got
hmm,
from his question. But I
yeah,
feel like any type of aid, whether it's welfare or sending money back home, create some form of dependency where people don't
mhm,
want to go and work for themselves because they know it's always there. And
yeah,
we feel within America, people who are on welfare, They don't work as hard as somebody who have to wake up every day and go and do the 9 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that whole system is just wrong. It's enabling our people to not put in the work that they put in the best, because it's like my family will always send me something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And a lot of
Yeah.
Liberians, like my trip was an eye opener. A lot of Liberians are lazy. We have Ghanaians coming to that country. We don't have opportunities for running successful businesses. We have a Fulani coming from there and just starting with a widow market, but in 2 years' time, you have 2-3 stores. So what's the excuse? It's your country, and a foreigner can come and do it. So why can't you? And you have family sending you money from America, so why can't you? What's the excuse? Because a lot of people just don't want to make use of the little they have, because they always depend on the next person in the US to send them something.
Okay.
And I feel that whole system is creating a lot of entitlement and dependency on family members back home.
Okay. Mel, what is the excuse for your genuine folks? You said there are some genuine folks. What is the excuse for those genuine folks to just be, they're like this? They are seeing the
Jerry,
Fulani, right? The Mecca winner, the Fulani Mecca with a Woola market. He comes first, or he start with a little Woola market. If we go low, he expanded a little bit. If we go low, he opens store. If we go, he opens store. If we go low, he opens shop. If we go low, he opens store. If we go low, he has a real estate business that going. What's the excuse to your genuine folks that you are maybe giving them 1,000 or 2,000 to start something, and then it breaks down? What's your excuse for them?
I would answer by saying there are bunches of Liberians as well doing businesses and they are successful, right? Now
Mm.
the excuse for that, right?
The
If
majority are not
if
though. 95% of Liberians live in poverty. So the
but how
majority are
many
not.
how
Not the
many
majority we're
Liberians
talking
in
about.
Liberia compared to the foreigners you have? More Liberians in Liberia than the foreigners. True or false? Out of the
And they
five or
should be
six
doing
million
well
people we
because they
have,
should be doing well because we are selling them remittances every
hey, let me
day,
let
every
me
month,
let me
everything.
answer let me answer your question before we lose
Okay.
track of it. But
Okay.
in Liberia we have majority of the people living in Liberia. The foreigners, they're not even 10% of the
Why
compared
are
to the
your
number of people
genuine
in
folks?
Liberia.
Why
How
are your
how
genuine folks not doing well? Why are the Fulanese and the Lebanese coming doing well more than them? Why are your genuine folks not doing well?
I think if you are following, there was a point I made about our own people that are in leadership, that are in government, that run these ministries,
Mm-hmm.
that are responsible for handling businesses,
Mm-hmm.
making it harder for their own people. They
Mm-hmm.
do their own Liberian people, even smaller businesses. They will give you tough time. Government
So,
officials that work
so
with
let me
government that come
so
and
let me
make it
hold you
tough.
there. So let me hold you there then. Are you saying the government favors the Fula men that just come with a Woola market? The government favors him more than a Liberian that is in Liberia trying to do the same thing or even more?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Just want to clarify. Okay.
Yes,
Yeah,
and,
go
and,
ahead.
and
Go ahead.
that's how it has been. Like I said, I don't know how long you've been in America. I don't know
So
when last you
I
were
may
in
be, I
Liberia.
may be, I may be wrong. So when I was there, I talked to someone
Mm-hmm.
because the same conversation came up where the government is loaning money to the foreigners. However, they are not loaning money to their own people, and Liberians feel like the government is favoring the foreigners over the Liberians themselves. And when I asked this question, because I think he worked for the Social Security Office or whatever, I think, and I was acting like when people pay their taxes, what do you guys do with the money? Like he's like, oh, we loan it out to businesses. So I said, what are majority of these businesses you guys are loaning money out to? He said the Lebanese. So I said, why would you loan money out to the Lebanese and not to Liberian? He said, because when the Liberians take the money, the business fall apart in no time. However, Lebanese, they know how to do business and understand business. So the government prefer to do business with them because that would have return on their investments. Liberian men, you give them money, they don't know how to run the business, and the government end up losing business. So I'm like, how about the Liberian government pour into educating their citizens on how to run business and put system and infrastructure in place, so that way Liberians are not like just taking the money from them and not knowing how to use it for investment. But anyway, it's a whole lot that's going on in that country that really needs to be addressed, because it's like I don't know. It's a mess. It's a
Okay,
mess.
Miss. Okay, Miss B, you wanted to come in, and then we'll do our commotion. We'll try to wrap it up. It's a 1 hour show, but anyway, go ahead. I think you wanted to come in, Miss B.
Um, First of all, he was trying to say if you look at the population of maybe 4 million people in Liberia, and
5 million, I
95,
think.
5
5
million,
million.
whatever the population is, and
Mhm.
let's just say of that 5 million, only maybe 5% is non-Liberians, and you're saying if 95% is doing well, then he's saying there's a good percentage likely somewhere in that data that are Liberians and doing well. That's the point that Mel was trying to make, Abraham. And then I think I was trying to remember what Jerry has said when we talk about businesses, Liberian businesses not doing well and Liberian people being kind of lazy. Here's the thing. It's the type of industries too we want to go and open. Everybody go into Liberia, opening restaurant, drinking spot.
So
It
entertainment,
reflects
just
the
the
type of
entertainment
same type
business.
of business they want to do
Just
here.
the entertainment business, yeah.
Yes,
Entertainment
the
business.
market is oversaturated. When we know, if we look at what drives the economics of a country, America, when you think back to the birth of capitalism, it started from farming. At the core of the huge landowners and the people who grew wealth in this country were farmers, sharecroppers, right? And you farmed, and you went and you sold your goods on the market. And the guy who made enough, now you could go and buy the tractor from somebody, and that tractor company now it started you. That's why you have John Deere, right? Even when you think about all the different industries that can be formed within just the farming industry, we're not even tapping to none of that. Everybody wants to go and be in Monrovia, oversaturate, overpopulate the capital with the same 6 and 7 type of business. Restaurants are not successful here in America, and they're definitely not going to be very successful in entertainment. Spots are definitely not going to be successful, because entertainment is a luxury, it's a social thing, right? And at the core, you do what? You pay your main bills first. You take care of the main things first. And if you have money left over, you can go out to the restaurant here and eat, or you can participate in the social activities. And so the idea that we have more social businesses in the country already says that GDP and all those things are not going to grow. We don't have the right type of markets, right? We don't have the type of markets that create jobs that people can have to be sustainable. And so those are some of the problems we're having with the remittance that we're sending.
Mhm.
If I tell somebody to start a business, the first thing they're going to want to do is maybe a used clothes business. You will sell them the clothes, the tukafle, the old shoes, all those things. You will sell it to them. They will be selling them $1, whatever. It's not even going to grow from that tukafle business to a decent boutique, right?
Mhm.
People are building shopping malls. People are building commercial spaces to get people off the streets. We don't have money to pay that rent, right? They don't have money to pay that rent. They don't have the infrastructure to move their businesses into those shops and stores, right? So
Okay.
that is some of the problems that we're having with the remittance. The remittance is 20%. Is there to help to build the economy. But again, if we're not investing in the infrastructure, that economy will not get built, and it will continue to be relying on that remittance at the end of the day.
Okay. Well, that's a great point. Well, folks, tonight we are discussing immigrant remittances. It's been a great discussion. We're sending money back home. I think we should stop it for a year, and see how that goes,
No,
and see
we all disagree
at
with you.
20%, at 20% of that GDP. Let's see what pressure that upon the government to do something. I mean, the panicking USA idea has been called all the African government and panicking. Let's see if we can start with mittens for a year. What's that going to do? But folks, we've been discussing this all, and it's been a great discussion. The panelists have been, well, giving some good ideas. It's a 1 hour show. We can go all night. So we'll give one last question and wrap this up. Mel, man, I know you're very passionate about helping your folks. Very, very passionate. I know you want to do maybe that either that 2 weeks or that 1 month, something gotta go on same wave. Is it that same wave now, right? Something gotta go on same wave, or that MoneyGram, whatever it means to you. I know you're very passionate, man. But what's the way forward here? Is this whole sending money back home? What's the way forward? Is it
Yeah,
something that we're just going to keep it perpetual, man? What's the way forward? How can we fix it? Because to me, I think it's broken.
yeah, but I hear you. It is broken. You spoke of Sendwave just a few days ago. I was looking at my Sendwave transaction for the past 2.5 years. I sent 30 some more $1,000, $33,000, and I don't even have 20% of that money in my saving account. Right? That's how sad it is. So I would say that before
I
I kind of
appreciate
continue.
you for sharing that data, Mel. That was down payment for a real estate investment that
It
you'd have made in
it
2 years'
definitely
time.
it
You would have gotten
definitely
that
Uh,
plus more.
and we come back to the whole point about the double life again, right? We live it, but
It
anyway, go ahead,
it,
Mel. Go
it
ahead.
definitely is. If as sad as it sound and as hard as it sound, knowing
Oh,
that
bless you.
we ourselves struggle over here, You know, we have a lot to do. Sometimes, you know, even your salary can take care of your bills, right? But you tend to make those sacrifices for a reason. It's just how it is and how it has been. A lot of these people don't really have means. When somebody calls you here and be like, you Ip, you know, today I have my I can't even come up with my rent, and the landlord behind me, that person, somebody actually mean it. That's true. I don't even have it to eat it today. That's true. And a lot of these folks don't even have a voice into how things happen, how the country is run. They're just trying to figure out to live their lives, right? It's hard to just put a stop to it or put a halt to it. You can manage and be like, you know what, today for me, who over here, I know I got my 5 to 9 job or my 8 to 5 job. I'll go to it and figure something out to go and hustle because the opportunities are here, right? I'll go and drive and make that extra money and send to somebody. I will, yeah, my brother, so now I'll go do my little lift to make some extra low income, yeah, and to help one or two, right? We do those things. But people don't have that means. Like I do not take my car, put it on lift, and go make extra income. People in like, bro, don't have that. They are people that really want to do those things, but they don't have that means. So the way forward, I think here we are in America. How many Liberians we have here? Millions of Liberians in different states, right? We don't even have an organization that is a Liberian organization, from state to state to interact. Be like, how can we contribute? I know we talk about government. I know we talk about a lot of other things, but everything cannot be done by government. How can we change the dynamic of our country? We that live
Okay.
over here have exposed to a lot of information. Information is key. A lot of us
Yeah.
here have it. A lot of us
Mm-hmm.
here have learned over time.
Mm-hmm.
But bringing us together, like the group of Liberians here in Minnesota, in Philadelphia, in New
Sure.
York, in Pennsylvania, it would be a stronger force, right?
Sure.
Saying, you know what, we want to take a project,
Sure.
and this is what we're going to do. We're not using the government. We're not
Okay.
even using ourselves that collecting that money. We're going to work with an organization. Let's say we want to do a road project or something like that, right? To, to,
Okay.
to
Okay.
develop our country.
Sure.
I
Okay.
think it would be a great way to help our people and make lives better, or build
Okay.
some type of factory or company that will create jobs for our people. That one way we
Okay.
can help. That's just one of that means we can help. Each Liberian here can pay maybe $2 every month or $3 every month for the next 5 years to undertake that project. If we do that here, we will do good for our people. Anytime we go Liberia, we'll live better life. I think
Okay.
it's another way we can help our people and help our country develop.
Okay, I think maybe we should start here first, right? Let us investigate here first. Let us do that first, right? That like everyone's coming together. Maybe we can build that wealth here first, and then maybe we can transfer some of it on the other end. But let us, if that's a great idea, but let us be done here first because this is where we live, and But anyway, but Miss B, right? It's same question, but different sense. What's the way forward? It's a job creation in the whole we made things stuff. To me, I say it's broken. It's a welfare system. It is creating dependency syndrome all over Africa. It is not helping the African continent. It is just, it's like, this thing been going on forever. As Africans come here, they send money back onto that people because that cultural connection, right? Who we are. We feel guilty if we don't do it. Well, it's broken. How can we fix it? How can we fix that continent through remittance?
It is job creation because even okay, if that's what we have is restaurants and drinking spots, let's put things to numbers. Right? You open your restaurant, your drinking spot. A lot of people don't know how to financial management is important. Even those who have been here for a long time. You go to Liberia, you're not putting the right budget together for that business. Maybe I shouldn't be employing 500 people, really. I should be having like maybe 10 solid workers that I'm giving them more than $50 a month, right? Maybe I'm giving them maybe $300 a month. You will see. Because now when you have your 5 workers who are making that $300 a month, now they can go and have people at whom they themselves are hiring and are pay their gatekeeper, paying their driver or whatever, right? And so therefore you're creating jobs. That 5 jobs has turned into 10 jobs. That 10 jobs has turned into 20 jobs. and trickling down, right? And so that's how we can create more jobs. And therefore, now you have built economy of probably 100 working people who are making livable, not livable, but making wages. Let's just start there. That are actual making consistent wages. So it is about job creation, but job creation will happen within the businesses if we're really budgeting and managing realistic, right? Because you got your drinking spot. If today you had a good day, you made $2,000. Who know how you about to spend that $2,000, right? And that's how the job creation, I believe it is job creation. It's job creation that continues to be at the top of any legislator you speak to. They always want to say, I've created 60,000 jobs. I've created 200,000 jobs. Right now, every day we're hearing about federal jobs being lost or jobs not be created. The job market is this, the job market. So it's at the core of any vibrant, sustainable economy is the job creation. So I agree with the person who quoted it. Is it job creation? Yes.
Yeah, and then no, obviously I agree with you on that, and that's one of the things we also try to highlight here on Inner Cycle Podcast. Once a month, the first Friday of every month, we try to bring an expert here on the job report come up because those are conversations sometimes our people avoid, but hey, it's important. But Jerry, same thing, Miss Jerry, I will come to you the same thing. What's the way forward of the whole remittance stuff? We're sending it to Africa. They're not doing nothing with it, right? They're taking it as Miss B said, opening a bunch of drinking spots. They said, you go here, music. There's a bar here, there's a bar here. He said, but damn, everywhere you go, music. So what's the way forward with the whole remittance stuff? I say, man, let's stop it. Let's doge that whole thing. Let us USA ID it. But you guys say it's not it's going to cause more harm than good. But what is the way forward? How can we fix the remittance?
I would say for me, it's education.
Mm. How?
Investing in the schools, like as somebody said, we have a lot of educated Liberians here in the US. So I was just starting with elementary schools. If some of us can go over there maybe during the summertime or whatever, just volunteer in some of the schools and just teach kids. Because if we were teaching them young, that way by the time they reach high school, they already have this knowledge. And once they get to college and in government, there's some type of impact that is being made there. And just to encourage other form of trade within our Liberian schools, like farming and plumbing and all of these things, because those things are not taught in Liberian schools. If you go to Ghana, for example, a lot of schools in Ghana teach farming to the kids from a young age. So a lot of the kids, they grow up very passionate about that. They want to be farmers, and in
Mhm,
return, they contribute to the economy. So if we can
mhm.
set this system in place where we invest in our educational system, I feel like that would make a huge difference.
Okay, thank you for that. So as we wrap here tonight, Mel, what is the message you want to leave of our folks, right? Folks who have been listening to you. Your message to them is to keep sending more money back home, to to keep enabling that welfare system, or what is it? What's the message you want to leave with folks tonight?
I don't think my message are man. Keep on sending money home. I think you're trying to confuse me tonight, but I
Yeah,
will wrap it up. What I just said over time is
yeah.
hard. When you live in Liberia, grow up there, understand how the society is. It's hard to just turn your back on it, especially somebody who is passionate about the country, who have experienced life. Right? It's not something you can easily do. It's hard. Um, as we reflect on the importance of immigrants remittance, it becomes clear, right, that these financial flows are not mainly a lifeline for family members, right? Um, but they are vital to just key components of the nations, right? People look up to these things as we send them. The commitment of immigrants just supporting their loved ones back home exemplify a lot of things, right? It says a lot. As hard as it is, that's the
Mhm.
truth. I would
Okay.
say to our brothers and sisters who are back home, if you are lucky enough, not everybody in Liberia have family members that sending them money. Some of us are in Liberia, we didn't receive $5 from anybody, right? And that's the truth. There are a lot of other people that find themselves like that. You know,
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
are lucky enough to have somebody who can think about you know, who can say, I have my sister, I have my brother, I have my family member, I will send a small thing every month. Put your act together and think about what you can do with that fund that is being sent to you every time. Don't leverage it. That person might not be here every time to keep on sending it to you.
Okay.
They will not be there. So think about how best you can help yourself. A human being will help you as much as they can, But you as an individual have that responsibility. You have that responsibility to ensure you put yourself in a position not to be looking up to somebody to take care of you, but making use of the resources being sent to you to put yourself in that position that you are not saying, oh no, you know what, today I need full money. But your conversation with the person can be like, you know what, I started this business. This is what's going on. I would
Okay.
need some type of little help to kind of make it look like this in a way,
Sure.
or how can I get better? Right. And
Okay.
that's how we are going to be better as Liberians. We can keep looking up to one person to take care of us every time. Put
Okay.
yourself in that position so that you
Okay.
can help yourself. In as much as I put myself in that position to be like, I know how it is, but sometimes it's not easy over here as well. You have to take care of yourself as well. You cannot live in America and be like, my sole intention is to help my people back home and forget about yourself. At the end of the day, you have a life to live. You have family that look up to you. You need to put yourself in that position. If you don't take it as yourself, one day you go back home and be like, you're living in America. That what did you do for yourself, right? The very same people you help. So there got to be some type of balance, and that's where I'm coming from. I'm not
Mm.
saying stop it. I'm not saying it should be a continuation. It should be something that should be continuous. But you gotta find a balance in doing it so that you are not one impacted in a way that your finances are not in good alignment, and
Okay.
two, the people over there as well. You are not neglecting them in a way like, oh, you know what? I'm here now. I'm not looking back, because that's our culture, and that's what it
Okay.
is. We can help to change it, and that's what I will leave with everyone here tonight. Thank you for all of your contribution. Thank you, Ip, Miss B, and Jerry for just talking about this important topic.
Okay. Well, I know you not say other big English and stuff, get other big speak, but here at the end of the day, those that thing or USA ID it, those that thing. But anyway, Miss Jerry, what is the message you want to leave? You want to leave with the folks tonight who have been listening to you? Are you trying to take the middle ground as Mel is doing? That middle ground he taking, he's still sending money back home every month. Where are you coming from on this thing here?
I have no say. People will continue to send money back home. Doesn't matter what I think or what I say, people will still
No,
continue to
what
send.
message? What message? Right? How can we fix it? I mean, does it need fixing? Right? Okay. What's the message you want to do with folks tonight? Does it need
It needs,
fixing? Do we need to? Do we need?
it
Because
needs
I think we have the
fixing.
power. I mean, if we have the dollar, well, we don't have the dollar. We have the power to,
Hmm.
yeah, to do something about it. So, what's the message you want to leave with folks who have been listening to you eloquently?
I would say for those of us sending money back home, there should be some type of accountability and responsibility to the people we're sending money home to. If you
Mhm.
continue to send money, for example, to family members for over 5, 10 years, and it's the same story, at some point, they should be held accountable. At some point, you should tell yourself, no, if I continue to do this, I'm enabling you. So at what point does it stop? There should be some form of accountability on our part here, like holding people accountable for
Okay.
the dollar that we're sending, because it's our heart and money we're sending over there. Just because
Okay.
they're family doesn't mean we should just keep sending money and sending money.
Okay. So, Miss Jerry, closing argument or closing statement to our audience there, accountability. If she send it to you 6 months and no use of it, she cutting it off. So that's a good one. But Miss B, we'll close with you tonight. Where are you coming from on this? How can we fix the remittance to it? Because personally, I think it's broken. He has created a welfare system.
I mean, I think about whether it's Liberia or here, because of the work that I do, I go to bed thinking about this and I wake up thinking about where do I begin to pour water so it can have the greatest impact in the least amount of time, because we're so far behind. Black people on the continent, Black people here, we're just so far behind. And so for me, I would never say let's stop the remittance, because whatever little thing, whatever little trickle, whatever raindrop, whatever little bit of water that we can pour somewhere for it to have an impact or a ripple effect, I'm going to say let's do it. But behind that, we really need to be organized in our way of thinking and doing things. That's at the core. We need to be organized, and we're just not organized. Whether on the continent or here, we just lacked the ability to come together and be organized and unified. And so
Okay.
That's where I
Well,
leave
with
it.
that, folks, that concludes our show tonight. It was a great show, right? Talking about remittance. You know, folks don't want to call it what it is, but I'm gonna say Doge that thing or USA ID that thing. But we're gonna be back here on Sunday with a social segment at 8:30. Inner Cycle Podcast is now 4 days a week. Tuesday to Thursday, these different topics we'll be having. For us, we focus here. We focus on America, right? That we talk about double life last time. Mel, then I see my male living the double life, sending money back home, keeping some here and stuff like that. You know, trying to enable that welfare system. But that's good, man. I feel you, brother. I feel you.
You're
Keep doing
really
it. You
giving
know,
me a hard time tonight.
oh, need to, need to fix that thing. Those that thing. Yes, I mean you on mute. If you're talking, you on mute. But anyways,
Let me ask you a question before you wrap up. Do you have family members back home?
oh yes, I do. But I have
How
those them
how
long time.
Abraham,
yeah, how old were you when you moved to
Abraham has
America?
been
USAID them.
USAID by Liberia.
How
That's
old were
I
why
you
have
when you moved to the US of A?
USAID them. I have those them because hey
How
man,
Mel, he
as
has
Jerry
been USAID by
as
Liberia. That's why he
as,
has
Jer-
this
as
mindset.
Jerry
He has
said,
over
as Jerry said,
so
when there's
bird.
no accountability, you gotta doge that thing on USAID. So
He
I
has
agree
been
with Jerry.
let me
so bird.
understand something. If how old were
He
you
has been so
when you moved
bird.
to the
Just
States?
know.
Who are you? I moved at the age of 15. You know what I mean?
Oh,
But that's a whole
okay.
different
I understand.
conversation.
You are still
That's a whole
That has
different
nothing to do with
conversation.
it.
you're still trying to
So
figure things out when you
When
move.
I
I
met
get it.
Abraham, he was
folks,
right at that LIB.
so
Bell,
folks, tonight we'll
been
end the
those and
conversation
he has
right
been
there.
USA.
Sunday we're gonna be back here at 8 o'clock for our social segment, and Cycle Podcast, man. Tune in every night. Follow us on
I
Facebook,
just want
on
to say this before
everywhere.
we close.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, go
Women
ahead.
History Month, Abraham,
Yeah.
and shout out to my women, my girls. I'm loving you, but the president and CEO of the largest Black-owned airline is a woman, a Black woman. Hello.
Okay.
Oh, that's
Okay.
huge.
Okay. Now we're gonna DIY, but anyway, that's great. That's great. That's great. That's
All right, man.
okay.
Great show
Good night,
tonight.
folks. Good night. It was a good one. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.